back here at the Palm Steakhouse. As you see, Fred Sternberg had all the beef VADA tested out there, so there'll be no issues for this steak lunch at the Palm. We're happy to be back here. This is actually a media lunch for Ring Magazine to recognize Triple G as their best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Doug Fisher, the editor-in-chief of Ring Magazine, is here. He's going to make the official presentation of the belt. It's a very high honor. All the accomplishments that Triple G has made in the ring, all the belts that he's accumulated, this is a very high honor. It's a very high honor, being recognized as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport of boxing. So it just happened that we also signed the deal last week with Canelo Alvarez for the rematch, September 15th. It was so new that we don't even have a backdrop. So this is really for the specific purpose of the presentation of the Ring Magazine belt. And actually then we'll take questions and talk about the biggest fight in boxing between Triple G and Canelo Alvarez. So Doug, if you want to make the official presentation, we've been waiting a long time actually for that belt to come in, and I know Gennady is looking forward to adding that to his collection.
An impressive collection. Should I speak in one of the microphones?
Yeah, you can take the handle.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to take too much time here. I just want to give a little bit of history about the Ring Magazine's pound-for-pound belt. We haven't had one, we haven't awarded one in several decades. It was first awarded to Pernell Whitaker in 1993, ironically after Whitaker faced a Mexican star, and the outcome of that bout was a very controversial draw. But the editors of Ring Magazine and most of the public knew who really won that fight. And so the editors of the Ring Magazine decided to, just off the draw, elevate Pernell Whitaker, who was #2 pound-for-pound at the time. The great Julio Cesar Chavez was #1 pound-for-pound at the time. You were probably there. You were probably working some corners there. Hey, well, okay. Yeah, but yeah, you were part of the, you were training some of the top pound-for-pound rated fighters at the time. A lot of interest in that showdown. And going into the fight, people said this is going to prove who's pound-for-pound #1. And despite the controversial draw, most people thought that Whitaker won, and so he was elevated to #1 pound-for-pound. And he was awarded the first Ring Magazine pound-for-pound championship belt. And he was even on the cover showing off the belt. So Gennady, your last fight was a draw, but most people know who won that fight. And even beyond weight classes, because that was looked at, and I think it was called supremacy, for middleweight supremacy. But I think beyond weight classes, you, Gennady, are the epitome of a champion. You conduct yourself as a champion. You live the life of a champion. You train like a champion. You want to fight the best, and you want to challenge yourself. And that's what real world champions do. So you have a very impressive title belt collection, but with or without the belts, the people recognize you as the best, as a champion. And that's really what pound for pound is. It's being the best regardless of weight class. But even when we talk about your weight class, you're doing some very special things. And you're the longest reigning champion in boxing. I think you're the closest thing to Marvelous Marvin Hagler, where he just stuck his claim to be the king of the middleweight division and took on all comers. And even when he lost, controversial, people still recognize Marvin Hagler as the champ, even when he lost to my boyhood idol, Sugar Ray Leonard. But when I first met you, and I've written about this, it was in I think the spring or summer of 2011. And at the time, you were the WBA's interim champion. Am I right about that? Yes. he was preparing, and you sparred with Canelo Alvarez, he was preparing for a fight with Kasim Uma. Is that right? Yes. And that fight was the first time he was elevated from the interim champion to the WBA full status champion. And he hasn't lost since. And he's had a lot of fights. And he is approaching the all-time middleweight division record held by Bernard Hopkins. Yeah. So,
he's tight.
So, now there's some people who dispute this, right? Because they say, well, he had the interim belt, and then it was just the regular WBA belt, and, well, the WBA didn't recognize or didn't sanction the Kell Brook fight. And I say, regardless, if you're getting close to the all-time record, if you're getting close, even close to equaling a feat of an all-time great fighter, you're in greatness territory. So obviously, you're one of the best fighters today. And whether or not you agree if he has equaled Bernard Hopkins' divisional record, he surpassed Marvin Hagler's. Marvin Hagler defended the title 12 times. The great Carlos Monzon defended the title 14 times. So he's already surpassed those fighters. Last time I checked, they're enshrined in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and they are considered all-time great middleweights. So this is the territory that Gennady Golovkin is now in. So it gives me great pleasure to shut up and to award this belt to Gennady Golovkin. Maybe you can stand up and support the hardware.
We'll come around, Doug.
Okay. All right. And here on this left plate here, it says pound for pound #1 since September 2017. So we're going on 1 year. You're the man.
Thank you so much. Dougie,
Doug, get
right
in
here for ring. This way, Doug.
Dougie, can you turn this way? One here, this way.
No, here, no, about that.
Hold it across the table.
Yeah, I like that.
Everybody right here in the middle?
Right here. What?
Thank you very much.
That's a hard-earned honor to get the pound-for-pound recognition from Ring Magazine. We want to thank Doug. We want to thank you for coming out and making the presentation, and especially for the Ring Ratings Committee for bestowing that honor on Triple G. With that, we can transition. I also want to recognize Pepe Suleiman, who's here representing the WBC. Gennady is a proud champion of the WBC, he's a proud champion of the WBA. Pepe, if you want to say a few words on behalf of the WBC, we'd be happy to put this next fight against Canelo Alvarez, the first rematch of Triple G's career, into perspective.
Thank you very much. I'm here on behalf of the World Boxing Council and the 166 affiliated countries to it, and Mauricio Sulaiman. We are very, very happy that this fight finally got signed for. Mauricio says, and I agree 100% with him, and with everything that Doug said about Gennady. He's a gentleman. He's a true champion. And for the WBC Gennady, he is the captain of the WBC champions. So he has a very, very special place in the history of our organization, in the history of boxing especially. So from now he has to concentrate, because the important part comes. Getting ready for the fight and really giving everything and making us proud once again. that he has never stopped doing. So for the greatest champion, our full support. We are always, as my father used to say, and we keep saying this, we are always in your corner. So the very best of luck, thank you very much, and you're going to win. You're a champion. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tom. It's amazing that they finally agreed on making the fight and showing it on HBO. So this had to happen because this is the fight that everybody wants to see, that everybody needs, that boxing needs. So thank you very much on behalf of the WBC and Mauricio Suleiman. Thank you.
Thank you, Pepe. As I mentioned, Triple G and the entire team are very proud that he is a champion of the WBC. He's a champion of the WBA. I think he's the best representative for the sport of boxing, the best ambassador that a sport of boxing can have, bringing new fans in with every fight. Triple G embodies what the true meaning of sport is, and representing the biggest fight now in the sport of boxing. As Pepe said, this is he's always wanted the biggest challenge for his career. This is considered the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. This is considered the two best middleweights fighting against each other, and it doesn't get any bigger than that. It'll be in T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. It'll be on HBO pay-per-view. You know, Gennady, he's a world ambassador, really, for the sport. Some of you might have known that he was invited by Hublot to be at the opening ceremonies in Moscow. He just came back last Saturday, actually Friday night, but I spoke to him on Saturday. If you saw a video where one of the astronauts on the International Space Station had a Triple G flag with him. I mean, there's things with his career that just doesn't happen to a boxer or a champion. And at this point, at this stage, he's the best pound-for-pound champion. So we want to thank our sponsors. Tecate is a big supporter of Triple G. Chivas, Hublot, who has brought out the 3rd edition of his Triple G watch, which will be available here shortly before the September fight. Brand Jordan is a big supporter of Triple G with their merchandise. Bijan, here locally on Rodeo Drive. So he's got tremendous support from his sponsors. You know, we're all looking forward to this rematch against Canelo Alvarez, September 15th. And I want to introduce a longtime television partner who launched Gennady's career over here in the United States. It was with their platform that allowed Triple G to become one of the biggest stars in the sport of boxing, to become involved in the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. So with that, I'd like to introduce Tony Walker from HBO Pay-Per-View.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, everybody, for coming today. You know, we're very appreciative of the fact that Triple G has spent his entire boxing career in the U.S. on HBO. For 45 years, we've prided ourselves on bringing the best fights, the best events, the biggest events in boxing to HBO. We started out with the Thrill in Manila, and now we get Canelo Triple G 2. Gennady has carved out a position in U.S. sports with his charisma. It's very, very seldom you see a foreign athlete carve out the position in America that he has. As an individual, not even as on a team sport. So for all of the fans who are not already getting ready to watch this show, we're going to produce a bunch of video pieces to highlight the run-up to this fight and show how, when you guys cover it, you're going to be able to report something special to your customers. I got to thank Tom and Eric and the fighters for putting this together, because even when we want to put the biggest events on in boxing, it doesn't always happen. So kudos to those guys. It's going to be a great night, a very memorable night, and we're very glad to broadcast the show. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. We'll be announcing details. This is all just very fresh. as I said, we just agreed on the fight last Wednesday. So when the tickets go on sale, the ticket scaling, the HBO information, the undercard fights, all those details we'll be announcing here shortly. Triple G is going to be going up to training camp here in the next couple weeks with Dr. Abel Sanchez, the professor of pugilism. Whatever he does up there in Big Bear with all of his champions, Murat Gassiev, all the champions that he trains up there that punch so hard, and Triple G is really the leader of the camp up there. You know, I'd like to introduce Abel Sanchez to say a few words based on you know, how he sees the preparation for this next fight, and how he you know, sees the next fight going on September 15th.
First of all, Doug, thank you very much to you and to Ring Magazine for this honor. This honor is 18 long years in not only in Kazakhstan but in Europe. 8 years with me of hard work trying to get to this point. It didn't happen overnight, but a very professional athlete, a guy that gives you everything so that the fans want to continue to see him on TV. He's going to be going to camp probably in the next, probably a little after the beginning of the month. We're going to start preparing as we did for the first one, the fight on May the 5th. This will be a little more of a grudge thing, I believe, on our part, because of it's like that bride that got stood up at the altar. May the 5th we're looking forward to that and looking forward to destroying them and getting the next one if it was going to be the next one. But mark my words, he's going to be very dedicated like he always is, but I think that on my end, I need to make sure that he understands all of the issues that have been put in front of him, not by his choice, but issues that have been put in front of him by Canelo, and Canelo's going to pay for this. Thank you.
As Abel alluded to, I would say the gloves are off for this promotion here. There was a lot of respect between the two guys in the first fight. Very controversial decision. Gennady thought it was a disrespect to the sport of boxing. Something that we all thought won the fight, to come away with a controversial draw like that. Then with the rematch happening, everyone knows the scenario there, that Canelo had tested positive. He got suspended. The Cinco de Mayo match in Las Vegas was canceled strictly because of the suspension of Canelo Alvarez. We scrambled, we saved the date, Cinco de Mayo, against Vanes Marozyan at the StubHub Center. We broke the ticket revenue record at the StubHub Center. We broke the merchandise record at the StubHub Center. We set the highest ratings on any premium cable show for the last 2 years. With Triple G's last fight, and that's why he took the position that he did in the negotiations. He gave me clear instructions as to what he would accept. He would have signed a long time ago, and then finally, when he was satisfied with the deal, that's when we signed, or we agreed last Wednesday. So with that, you know, we can open up to some questions. This is a little bit of informal media lunch. Gennady, if you want to say a few words first before we take the questions, and then just you know, if you're looking forward to this rematch and looking forward to, you know, the biggest participating now in the biggest fight in the sport of boxing.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just first of all, thanks, Doug, for your present, beautiful present. Finally,
Another one.
thank you. And of course, everybody. Good to see you. Right now, just I feel my true life. I come back. Real life, real boxing life. Thank you. If you have questions, I'm ready. Tom.
We can pass around. Why don't we pass around one of these microphones? That way, everyone can hear. Where's Alan? Alan, why don't you? Here.
Yeah. Gennady, last time we saw you at the Palm was about 3 weeks before May 5th. How much happier are you today than you were when we saw you a couple months ago with everything going on and everything that has taken place?
I don't know how many %. That's a lot.
And, three different training camps in camp. And as Gennady was just saying, he was a different kind of person. He was a very humble, very nice kid. It seems that today his riches have made him a different person. He's a very good fighter. He's an exceptional fighter. He's doing a lot for the boxing in Mexico. But as fast as he went up, they go back down. And all the people that you stepped on the way up, you're going to meet on the way down. So I think that his persona today is diva-like sometimes. His actions, what he says and what he doesn't say and what he doesn't do, are hurting him.
You know, I know, of course, you and Gennady are very professional. We've had so many great rivalries over the years. There was genuine bad blood, like, you know, Guerrero Morales comes to mind. Do you see this even approaching that, where these guys really hate each other? Or
I don't think it's hate, but I don't think that it's out. Those rivalries were rivalries inside the ring, not outside the ring. So what he's doing, what Canelo's doing outside is hurting Canelo, not hurting Golovkin. But if this ends up being the kind of fight that we think it's going to be, then I think that that could be a rivalry for a third one. And a fourth one. These two guys are not the kind of fighters like Vasquez and Marquez, where they beat each other up and they can't function in the next fight. These two guys are exceptional boxers and good fighters, and they're not going. It's not going to be that type of fight. So there will be a third and fourth. There could be a third and fourth.
but it's safe to say, as Tom was alluding to earlier, that there's genuine bad blood and distaste. Maybe not hate, but distaste.
It's not hate. It's bad blood just because of what he's put us through.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is some rights, some wrongs that need to be righted, and they will be on the 15th.
Gennady, 118, 110 became very famous on Twitter. Adelaide Birds with a lot of heat. Do you think that you can get a fair shake? Do you feel like you have to go in there and knock him out? Same question also for Adelaide.
I don't even think about those things. I'm not pressured by any kind of factors. I don't really care about, you know, what judges decided to do. This is not concerning me at all.
Правда такая система, правда, такая вещь. Кто может принимать, тот живет спокойно. Кто не может смириться с правдой, начинает суетиться.
Truth is such a thing that where you can take the truth, you can actually live with it. But those who cannot accept the truth, you know, getting all anxious about it. And he's feeling himself very comfortable right now.
You guys, last fight, you know, was preceded 3 weeks before by Mayweather-McGregor, and it probably hurt your pay-per-view, even though it was a very strong figure. This time, you know, there's a lot of bad blood at play, animosity running very deep, but Canelo has only been seen, basically, with his Golden Boy promoters around him, talking about the computer-all results, and we really have not had any kind of access to him since. How much are you guys concerned that he's not going to be a willing participant in promoting this fight, Gennady, like you do?
You know, Lance, just like we can't control, you know, where he's gonna train or how he's gonna fight in the ring, is, you know, however they promote the fight on their side is up to them. You see Gennady here, sitting in front of everyone, very accessible to the media. I've talked to Abel already. We're going to have, you know, open days in the training camp for the media. He's going to come down here. He's going to do other interviews, other appearances on television. So Gennady's going to go through this promotion and this training camp.